Also, the Q&A session will be after the presentation. Feel free to type in if you have any clarifications that you have that needs to be made, please feel free to type it in. Well, then, without taking more time, over to you, Shalinka and the team.
Thank you, Sandhini. Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. And I hope everyone's doing well and keeping safe during these times. So to start off, basically what I will do is I will run you through the experiences and activities that we offer at Ashburnham Estate and the Rukgala Retreat. And thereon, I will give you some information about the rooms and basically the properties. Yes, so to start off, I will talk about Ashburnham Estate. So Ashburnham Estate, for those of you who don't know, it is situated in Alpadua, which is 1 hour away from Kandy. It's towards the Martale side. And basically, Ashburnham Estate is a renovated and refurbished tea planter's bungalow. It sits on top of a mountain, a peak, and is surrounded by 100 acres of estate land, out of which 60 acres are operating tea plantation. So the property, actually, we are very lucky that that there is actually a river that runs through the estate land, which creates very beautiful cascade pools. And of course, our main attraction of the property would be a 40-foot waterfall, which I would get to in the slides to come. Separately, before I go into the activities, I want to say, apart from the activities, Ashburnham Estate has its own pool as well, with a fun slide for kids to use. And even for guests who are a bit sporty, we also have a fully tarred tennis courts, and we also have a badminton. We have a badminton net in the garden where you can play badminton as well. Our tennis course actually is a bit of a unique. We have actually these very old school wooden tennis rackets, which guests actually find quite nostalgic to play. With these old, but they are very functional and well maintained wooden tennis rackets. Very interesting for a lot of guests. Apart from that, before getting into the activities, we like to say that when it comes to Ashburnham Estate, it's in the hills. So the weather sometimes, because of the weather in the mornings and everything, when you're going on hikes, it could be the trails and everything could be a little muddy. So if guests are not prepared, we actually have our very own Wellington boots that guests can wear and go without having to completely ruin their good shoes. But of course, if guests are prepared with something like walking shoes or just regular trainers, that will be fine as well to wear when going on these activities. So let's get to the first one that I would like to talk about, and that is the tea fields tour and tasting with our estate manager, Mr. Dasanayaka. So this activity is actually one that guests will rarely miss out on, because it's right. It's just a step out of. It's basically just step out of the property, and you can do this with our estate manager, Mr. Dasanayaka. So to give you a little bit history on the guide for this tour, Mr. Dasanayaka, he has been working as the estate manager at Ashburnham Estate for a long time, and he is a well-seasoned tea planter, and he carries with him a great amount of history and knowledge about the tea industry in Sri Lanka, which he is very fond of sharing with guests and educating them. And guests also do enjoy his tours. So I'll just tell you how this entire tour would normally start for you all to have an idea. It would normally be, there are 2 time slots that would work best. It would be in the mornings, guests would have breakfast and then leave for the tour at around 10 a.m. Or in the afternoons after lunch, they could leave for the tour at around 3:30 p.m. So these times, normally we would recommend, because it's the time where the tea pluckers will be out there in the fields working as well. Unless it's a unless it's a Sunday or a holiday in Sri Lanka when the tea pluckers, the workers are on leave, you will always find them working in different areas in the estate. So the tour would go from around 1 hour to 1.5 hours, depending on how enthusiastic the guests are to spend time with the tea pluckers and to roam the tea plantation. So from the doorstep, Mr. Dasnayak would normally take the guests through the estate trails to the place where the tea pluckers would be working. And basically, once they get to that location, each of the guests will be given their very own harvesting sacks, and they will be able to, side by side with the tea workers, pluck tea. And whilst doing that, they will also be taught how to identify the different leaves at different stages of its life cycle and select those. So, of course, as you can see in this picture, it is a great experience for guests to actually see the lives and work side by side with such hard-working, mainly women, who have been doing this their entire life from childhood, and and of course it's very educational as well. So after they're done plucking the tea and taking as many great Instagram pictures in the fields, they're brought back to the tea collection shed, and that is where the workers would come every day and keep their basically leave their collection sacks, which are filled, and then those will be taken to a factory. So once they come to the tea collection shed, the guests will then be taken into the office, the tea planter's office, with Mr. Dasnayaka, and there he arranges a tea tasting session for the guests. So there he will brew up a few different types of teas and explain to the guests how to taste the tea, how to drink it, and also how to understand and identify different notes in the tea. So it's all in all, it's very educational and it's a very interesting experience for guests who will get to know a lot about something that we Sri Lankans hold so dear to us, which is tea, of course. And another thing that I think we would like to tell you is that all the proceedings from this activity actually goes fully to the tea pluckers and the workers at the estate as a further incentive and to motivate their hard work. So that is the tea fields tour. Let me go to the next activities. That is I'm gonna talk to you next about the high tea experiences that you could have, that your guests could have at Ashburnham Estate. So actually, there are three high tea locations that we now promote. I'm going to start with the one that's the private location that is at our property within our estate itself. This is actually a new addition. It was we actually did this. We actually created this entire location just a few months back, given during the COVID. During the current situations where guests would sometimes not feel too comfortable of traveling outside to other estates, we arranged the location within our estate itself. So as you can see, the view that you would have, it would be a very beautiful view over the mountain ranges, and it's again ideal for any guest who just doesn't want to maybe lazy to take a walk or a hike to the other locations we have, where this will be just like a 5-minute walk from your room to get to this location. And we, of course, in our high teas, we arrange scones, cakes, and sandwiches along with tea and coffee. And given that this is within our estate premises, if guests actually want something a little stronger than tea, it also can be arranged for them. So then the next high tea location that we can talk about is the high tea on One Tree Hill. This is actually quite a iconic picture for Ashburnham, as probably see it in the websites and quite often when we talk about Ashburnham. A lot of guests love this location. Basically, to get there, it would be around a 10 minutes drive, or if you're walking by foot, it'll be a really scenic walk, 30-minute walk from the property to get to this location. It's not within our estate. It is on top of a mountain peak of adjoining estate. And normally we would have guests leaving the property at around 3:30 or 4 and taking a nice stroll through the tea plantation roads, snapping a lot of shots on the way. And once they arrive there, we would have the entire cable layout set up like this. And we would have guests normally spending around an hour's time until the sundown, until the sun starts to set. And it's a very beautiful scenery from here. As you can see, the views of, you can see the Knuckles mountain range, as well as the Marthalee plateau. So maybe a guest would normally stick around and stay till around 6 o'clock when it starts to get a little bit darker. Coming back, the guest will basically get onto our own Jeep and come back in a Jeep instead of having to walk all the way back. That is the high tea on One Tree Hill. And then the third high tea location we have, a little bit further off from the property, not really accessible by foot. We arranged a drive to the Knuckles viewing point. So that is where we can arrange again high tea and even picnics. So this is like I said, it's 1 hour drive to this viewing point, and again, it's a very scenic location, as you can see in the pictures. And yes, so basically, apart from just high teas, in all our locations, we also allow guests to, we have the flexibility to arrange a picnic instead, a lunch picnic, or even a morning picnic. Anything, we are very flexible when it comes to what we can do with our activities and with these locations. So it all depends. It's all basically revolves around the conversation with the guests and how our managers get to understand what kind of things they would be interested in doing, and then we would do it according to that. So that is the high tea experiences. Those are 3 main locations that we can arrange picnics and high teas at Ashburnham Estate. Moving on to the more adventurous activities are the hikes that we can do at Ashburnham Estate. And there are actually 3 main hikes that we can arrange. 2 of them are half-day hikes, which vary between 4 to 6 hours. And we also have a full 1-day hike, a 1-day full hike that we can arrange. So the locations for the half-a-day hikes would be the around 4-hour hike would be from Ashburnham to the Victoria Viewing Point, and the 6-hour hike would be from Ashburnham to the Kalambaka Viewing Point, and the full day hike would be to the Hunnasgiriya point. So to elaborate and give a better understanding on these hikes, I have with me Aravinda, who is currently the resident manager at Rukgala Retreat, but has been the naturalist for all our properties for a very long time, and he has a lot of information that he would like to share. Aravinda, can I leave it with you to explain about this?
Yeah. Hopefully everybody can hear me. Thanks, Shalinka, for giving that amazing brief. So what I could say is, even in the presentation, you have seen some of the pictures of Ashburnham and see how beautiful it is. So the hikes, one of the best things about it, actually, the views that we get. So most of the hikes that we do, the 3 hikes that we talked by Shalinka, all first go through tea plantations, and then all of the 3 basically, even though they are shorter, so one is medium and the other one is a full day one, the way we designed is that all three hikes would get like maximum beauty in that sense. So the first hike that Shalinka talks about is Victoria Lake Viewpoint, which again in the next presentation about Rukgala, you will find out that Rukgala is actually next to the Victoria Lake. So the Victoria Lake Viewpoint itself, as I said, it's around 4 hours. So roughly around 4 kilometers and 4 kilometers from Ashburnham. So we start and end at Ashburnham, and it's a really nice look. And you'll be able to see amazing amount of tea country. And the beauty is that you go into the tea country, so you kind of see the interior of the tea. The this picture that you see in the slide is a nice example of that. You could see the real smile, the real life, and the real smell of the tea pluckers. And again, you are climbing up. Ashburnham is around 750 meters from the sea level. So you are climbing up to 1000 to 1400 meters. And again, as I said, it's climb is not like a climb. So the most of the hiking is going to be done in a typical parts. So it also added to the authenticity. It also makes that sort of easy for even a family clients with children to do these hikes. When you're going up, you'll be going into the World Heritage Knuckles Mountain Range, and you'll be touching the cloud forest. So to see the cloud forest, especially the whole cloud forest ecosystem in action, which is a really, really unique ecosystem in the world, and to see some of the animals in the cloud forest. So, and again, these are not guaranteed, but you'll be able to see like the leaf nose horn lizard, which only lives in Knuckles, or the marble rock frog, again another endemic a frog species that lives only in the Knuckles. And any of your clients are really into bird watching. So at Ashburnham, around Ashburnham, we have worked out around 95 to 98 species of birds. This is not including the ones in the night. And you also be able to see around 18 type of endemic birds. So these hikes can be also be coupled as a bird watching tours also. So the Victoria Viewpoint, that's the shorter hike. And then we talk about this Calaboca one that is around 6 hours. And if it's a group, maybe a little more than that, that goes to this amazing viewpoint, which is roughly around 1,300 meters. And we go through not only a tea plantation, we're going to be going into cardamom plantations, which is itself is very authentic and very unique. Cardamom is a spice that actually technically grows in the cloud forest. Going through that and seeing people how they pluck cardamom and everything, that's super unique. And the whole cardamom plantations and the kind of what they do is they use the cloud forest and their plantation, so that's sort of a coexistence. Would be also amazing to see. It's just not about it's about the beauty, it's about the experience, it's about it's the story behind it. And then we have the larger hike, which is goes to a place called Mount Hunnasgiri, which is very famous, and there's a very famous waterfall named to it. But we are not going to go to the waterfall because we do go for the other side. So that climb, we're going to go up to like 1,500 meters. And the beauty of it that we actually go right on top of the mountain. And again, that's a much longer hike that you have to leave a bit early. So altogether, roughly, it's going to be both ways. It's going to be around 21 to 22 kilometers. We normally leave a bit early because of that. The views that you're going to get, it's amazing. That's for me, I would say one of the best hikes that I have done, because from the starting point to the end point, you have like amazing amount of views. And even though it's a bit longer hike, there's no climbing, there's no scrambling, so anybody can enjoy it. And then there's like little waterfalls, little pools, and little viewing points. And then sort of a last part of that, we go into the cloud forest itself. So we have like roughly around last 2 to 3 kilometers inside the cloud forest. And to see such a a unique ecosystems. And with normally either myself or a naturalist would come and they'll explain to you the importance of a cloud forest. We always say, like rainforests are the lungs of the nature, and cloud forests, I always say they are the kidneys of the nature. To see that and also to see the rich life there, it's amazing, and the views you're gonna get is next to nothing. And in that sense, I think Ashburnham itself it's a gem, just not just because of the IT and the amazing attractions around it, and the three hikes that we guys do, and the the value additions is that the way that we done it, like even if a clients wants to speed up the hike, we can drove to a certain location, and then that flexibility that your clients will also get would be also another thing. And all these hikes will be having a trained naturalist following you guys. Uh, Another thing is that from that, those are the hikes, and from that we also have another biking ride solution. And again, Ashburn itself is fantastic for hiking and also for cycling. So the one that we promote, it's a downhill hike, bike ride. Sorry. Uh, so that's goes start from the Ashburnham and then gradually on the T paths goes downhill uh, to Tea State Bungalow. And again, the views that you get, and I would say it would be a activity that you do more of a after lunch sort of a with the sun down and everything. The views and everything in the valleys are really, really beautiful. You're not gonna see a sunset, but you have this whole sundowning feeling, especially through the valleys. That's magical. And again, the beauty of it is that you see the tea, and there is two really nice waterfall that you actually see from the distance, and that's also a nice experience. And in this bike ride, it's just not only downhill; most of it is downhill, and there is like I would say 1 or 2 kilometers that you have a sort of a gradual uphill, and then the bike ride basically stops at Stratisla. It's another really nice uh, friend property that we have. And then the guests could stop there, have a nice cup of tea. And what we do is the guests do have the option of they want to cycle, they can cycle up. But if they're not, what we do is we'll arrange our jeeps to take the guest up to Ashburnham. So that's explained. So I think Shalinka, over to you.
Thank you, Aravinda, for explaining those. So just a little bit more about the downhill or the cycling experiences at Ashburnham. We have 5 bikes actually, so you can take up to a group of 5 people. And if more bikes are needed, of course, we can definitely get it if we are informed in advance by the guests. Of course, we can sort out more bikes. Tratisla is basically a neighboring tea plantation bungalow, which we have had a good relationship with. So normally, the middle point of this cycling tour will be having a tea and refreshments at Stratisla, and then making our way back to Ashburnham Estate. Then I'll get to the most interesting and thing that we are most boastful of at Ashburnham is its very own waterfalls and cascade pools that I mentioned to you earlier. So with the stream that actually flows through the tea plantation, we have actually around uh, 5 cascade pool locations within the property. And starting from one corner, there are 5, and it ends with the final one leading with the drop of the waterfall. So again, like I said, to get to these locations, it will just be as simply easy as you wake up in the morning, you come out of your room, and there'll be a pathway right in front of you that says the waterfall, and it's a nice area of steps, like you can see in this picture, well maintained and cleared on a weekly basis. uh, that guests can just walk through in the mornings or at any time they want. And you don't even need a guide actually. It's freely roamable because there are signboards that lead tell you to turn left to go to Cascade or right to go to the waterfall. And once you get to these waterfalls, they are these pools. They are not deep. They're swimmable, and it'll be so easy for guests to just take a nice plunge there, and it's extremely safe. And apart from that, we of course have the ability to have arrange picnics for the guests at these locations. And something that most people do enjoy is something like gin and tonic in the evenings at the Cascade pools or the waterfalls. Definitely lovely, memorable experiences that we are coming back for. Then let me.
Shalinka, quick question.
Yes. Hello. Yes.
Yeah, this is Amri.
Yes, Sam.
For the cycle rides, you said it's downhill. So
Yes.
will there be an accompanying vehicle following them? Because the return uphill, is it also cycling back, or do they have the option of coming back in a vehicle?
Good point, Amri. So basically, on the way downhill, so there'll be one person leading in the cycle. He'll be the one controlling the entire group while going in front. He'll be controlling the speeds. As it's a downhill cycling, of course, you do need a guide to make sure people don't go too fast, especially if they are not too great at cycling, you can say. But separately, there will be the vehicle that will follow the group from the end, also watching to make sure that no one gets stranded behind or something doesn't happen, by any chance. So there will be people guiding this tour. I think that's a question that answers your question, right, Amrit?
Partially, no. I mean, if coming back uphill is a bit difficult, let's say cycling, can they put the bike on the vehicle and maybe hop into the vehicle and come back?
Yes,
I mean,
yes, it's actually they coming back most of the time. They come in the vehicle. That's also the main reason for the vehicle to be there. They put
okay.
they mostly come back in the vehicle. Only people who really want to can choose to come back cycling. But most of the guests come back in the vehicle.
Right, got it. Yeah. Thanks.
All right.
Thanks, Shalinka.
Okay.
That
Okay.
answered the question.
So, so that actually kind of wraps up the activities at Ashburnham Estate. Let me now move on to the activities and experience we have at Rukgala Retreat. Starting with, I would like to give you a small introduction to Rukgala Retreat. Rukgala Retreat is situated in Digana, and it's situated off the shores of the Victoria Lake. Digana is basically a 1 hour's drive from Kandy again, but it's not towards the same side of Ashburnham. From Ashburnham to Rukgala again, it would just be another 1 hour's drive, just so you know. So Rukgala, like I said, it's the main building is nestled on top of a rock on the shores of the Victoria Lake, overlooking the lake and the mountain range. It's a really beautiful property. The Rukgala Retreat's main focus when being built was and is to be wellness, and is currently, it is a wellness focused hotel. And the main, I think one of the main things we have at Rukgala Retreat is the fact that it comes with, it has a purpose built tea yoga shala that can accommodate up to 20 guests at a time per session. So yes, so when it comes to, apart from that, other things that are there at Rukgala Retreat is we have a small L-shaped pool that is actually carved into the rock, and separately we also provide spa. We have spa treatment as well as Ayurvedic treatment at the property for our guests. Then let me just talk to you about the the main something that is very dear to Rukgala, and that is, of course, the yoga experiences. Rukgala at any given time will of course have a yoga instructor, in-house yoga instructor working full-time at the property, and a person normally the yoga instructor would be would be an expert who can handle any of the guests who are beginners to even experts. And when it comes to the classes, there are 2 time slots for the group classes daily, and those are in the mornings after breakfast from 8:30 to 9, and the evenings normally from 5:30 to 6:30. So Rukgala also provides all the yoga mats and the equipment like the yoga blocks, straps, and all the other equipments. We have good quality equipments which we provide our guests to use. And apart from the group classes, we also can arrange private yoga classes, which can be within the property and not just within the yoga shala. We have a large area of garden space within the property where a lot of where on a daily basis, sometimes if the weather is if the crowd feels like it, depending on what the crowd would like, we would have the yoga classes at different locations, maybe in the garden, maybe sometimes at the shores of the lake. So those are all the kind of variations that we take between our classes. And these are not just the private classes, even the group classes. If the group is interested in doing it outside in a unique location, it is arranged. Also, to talk about the type of yoga that we do at Rukgala retreat, it is usually Vinyasa Flow. For those of you who don't know what Vinyasa Flow is, it's basically a light form of yoga, it is not so strenuous, so it's quite easy, and it's not something that will have guests really tired and things like that. But again, like I said, it depends on what the guests want. If the guests want something more intense, it can be arranged for them. That I've spoken a lot about. I think I've given a good idea of what yoga and yoga activities that we do at Rukgala retreat. Oh yes, and when it comes to the private yoga classes, we actually have some really great locations outside of the property's boundaries. In the next few slides, you will see places like the meditation caves on the Babaragala, on the way to the Babaragala rock, and even on top of the Babaragala rock, we have arranged private yoga sessions for guests who want. Definitely very unique. You will see in the next few slides. Okay, so also since Rukgala retreat and Shaz is actually kind of the sister property of Ashburnham, since the owners are the owner of Ashburnham has a lot of shares in Rukgala as well. So we also arranged I'm not going to waste too much time on explaining this activity. It's basically a day trip, a half-a-day trip to Ashburnham Estate. So through this trip, basically guests will be able to guests staying at Rukgala will be able to go and do the tea experience, the tea plucking tour, and also visit the waterfalls, probably have a picnic at the waterfall, or maybe grab lunch at the estate, at the hotel itself, and then come back. So this entire tour would normally take around half a day, given that it takes about 1 hour. It's a 1 hour's drive from Rukgala to Ashburnham, and then another 1 hour's drive back. This is something that a lot of guests staying at Rukgala would like to do if they are staying for a long period of time, of course. And to speak more about the activities, the excursions, and the hikes that we can do at Rukgala, I will again let Aravinda speak about these, starting with the Babaragala the hike. Aravinda, can you
Yeah, I can hear you guys. So Babaragala Mountain, it's a small meditation monastery. So dates back to Anuradhapura era, which is around 2000 years old. And then the Babaragala temple, which sits on the next to the mountain, which has really nice two cave temples, which is smaller in size, but mm, uh, more similar to the Golden Dambulla cave temples. Again, the cave temple itself, the architecture dates back to Anuradhapura and Kandyan era. So, which sits roughly around 3 kilometers from Rukgala, and we have a really nice excursion plus hike to Babaragala. So again, it takes around 3 to 2.5 hours. We start from the shores of Lake Victoria, which we are in, and we go through the lake, see the beautiful lakes, the birds, and then we crossed into the village, and then we go into the Babaragala temple. In temple itself, you can see the cave temples, and I think the beauty of it is the authenticity, and because these aren't a touristic site, and for you to see a functioning old cave temple complex uh, in that sort of a raw form, I think that's something unique. From that, there's roughly around 400 to 500 meters of sort of a, we call it light scramble. Uh, Again, not to scare you or anything, it's just we call it a light scramble because it's just we go through little rocks, vines, trees. It's like a nice sort of, I would say, sort of Indiana Jones type of adventure. From that, we go and we're going to go up to this Babaragala rock, which is also known as Pettigala. Again, Shalinka told us that we can actually host yoga programs, and the Babaragala itself has lots of caves and meditative caves that you can host even a sort of a very unique sort of a meditative or a yoga session for a guest, which we have done in past years, and the guest and the experience is amazing. And you can see the pictures of the cave, and below that the view that you get from the Babaragala, sort of a 360 view of the Victoria Lake, and then the far corner you'll see the Knuckles Mountain range. So that's one of our sort of a primary best hiking experiences. Even though it's a smaller hike, I think it covers everything. And then again, like Ashburnham, we also have cycling. And again, similar to Ashburnham, there is versatility. We always talk to our guests. We also always work with our partners to give the best experience. So the cycling tour, again, it couples through the shores of the Victoria Lake. And then next to us, we have what you call NLDB farm. That's a big government coconut and coffee plantation. So the cycle ride itself is designed to go through the coffee plantation and go through this beautiful deep coconut plantation that actually overlooks the Victoria Lake, and the views are like amazing. And again, these aren't like very touristic experience in that sense, because in a technically we are the only ones who do this that in this area, so that makes that even more authentic. uh, as you see, our cycling guide Sanka is overlooking the Victoria Lake, and again where the cycling hikes can range up to around 2 to 3 hours, even for 1 hour. What we do is we tailor made. If a guest wants something light, we can also arrange. If the guest wants something bit more arduous or bit more little adventurous, we can arrange. So the way we do is we talk to the guest, we evaluate it as it goes, and that's again amazing experience. And all these cycle rides also can be coupled with going to the Babaragala, and also with the amazing abundance of nature that you have, because you can easily couple with a really nice sort of a evening bird watching cycling tour. And then the next thing is that we offer is kayaking and paddle boarding. And again, we have Sanka, which is our trained guide and a certified lifeguard, will be there to help you guys. And again, the shores of Victoria is amazing for kayaking and paddleboarding. Again, we have a really nice kayaks, two-person kayaks, and we also have really nice set of paddle boards. So the guests could take the kayaks. Maybe they can take some tea and some biscuits that we make. You know, go to an island, have some time, have a nice swim, come back. Or if they are not really good at kayaking or paddleboarding, our guide Sanka could train them how to do kayaks, and then we have all the life jackets and everything to make sure that they are safe. And again, it's an experience that you can actually tailor made into yourself, which is actually, I think that's amazing. And again, that authenticity is amazing. Sorry about that. I think I got a call. I might lose you guys. The authenticity is amazing here. And
Aravinda, what did you mean by island? And also, can they take a swim?
if they want, they can take a swim, but the distance are a little longer because we are in the Victoria Lake, and when we have little islands that pops up, so they can swim. We have guests that who have swimmed, but again, little further away, I would say kayaking is or paddleboarding would be the best thing.
Okay.
And the water is really clean and everything, so really good to swim. And like technically nobody's around.
Super. Thank you.
Yeah. So another thing that we can do is, again, if you look at the location, so in a sort of easy sense, Ashburnham is in the Martale side of Knuckles mountain range. So we are below on the Knuckles. So we are in what you call Huluganga Valley. And then Rukgala is a really nice sort of a location if you want to do a really nice Knuckles excursion. Because again, places like Mimure, the High Knuckles, the Bomare, the Rukgala, which are around 1.5 to 2 hours away from us. So you guys could we can really create a day activity that we can take guests up even up to Mimure, and again to do some really nice hiking. And again, one thing that I always say that is that the team that we have is very adventurous. They're adventurous in heart, and then the whole idea of that they can tailor-made or value-add it. If they want to do a bike ride in Knuckles, we can get the bikes in the Jeep, go up, do a bike ride. If they want to do a hike in Knuckles, we can do it. And also if they want to do a really nice little sort of a family experience, we can do. If they want to go into the cloud forest and learn about like endemic animals and stuff, myself and others would be there. So if a guest wants to experience sort of authentic side of Knuckles and to get a real authentic sort of a Knuckles experience, Rukgala will be an ideal place. And again, we do have a little drive. And again, for that part and everything, I'll go up to Shalinka for that.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Aravinda. I think, Amri, if you have any questions, I think what you were asking about swimming, if you were not, were you clear on that? But just want to clarify that there are a few locations, depending on the water levels at the reservoir, where guests can kayak and paddleboard to, and we can arrange like a high tea or a picnic on one of these islands for the guests. So that is basically what I think what Aravinda was trying to say. So just we can call it a high tea on an island. We can do that for a guest. They can paddleboard and go. So when it comes to the kayaks, we actually have one kayak which can seat 2 people, and we have 5 paddleboards to be used. And of course, when it comes to the hikes and all of that, yes, we can do the knuckles hikes and everything. But what you should, what the thing about it is that we can tailor make a hike to the different needs of the guest, depending on what kind of fitness levels they have, whether they want a beginning hike, intermediary, or like a really hard one. We can try and fit in or do a hike with our team to fit their requirement. Very tailor-made experiences, basically. That about wraps up the activities at Rukgala. So now, before I go to the Q&A session, I'll quickly run through and give you explanation on the room types at Ashburnham Estate and Rukgala Retreat, starting with Ashburnham Estate. So Ashburnham has 6 rooms in total. The rooms that you see, the bay room and the balcony, come under 4 rooms that are categorized as double rooms. So the 4 double rooms are the bay room and balcony room seen in these pictures. And in the next slide, you will see the sunset room and the hideaway room. So when it comes to these rooms, the bay room and balcony room and hideaway room, we normally can have just 2 people sharing the double beds in them. But the sunset room is actually a bit of a larger bedroom, which we can actually have an extra bed put to accommodate 3 people. Also, the sunset room and the hideaway room are connected through a small corridor, a small veranda. It's like interconnected, basically, not out-connected. But it's through another small room that these 2 rooms can be connected, ideal for a family if they want to have their separate washrooms and separate bedrooms. This will be a good couple options to give. And then we have the 2 higher categories, which are the Ashburnham suite and the family room. The Ashburnham suite is, of course, the larger. It's a large bedroom, which with a living area, with a living space. It can accommodate a family of 3. We can add in an extra bed. There is plenty of space to add in an extra bed in the Ashburnham suite. And the family room is, as it says, ideal for families. It comes with a king bed and has 2 single beds in it, with the space to add in a 3rd bed to accommodate comfortably a family of 5. Those are the 6 rooms at Ashburnham Estate. And moving on to Rukgala Retreat, this is actually a very nice picture of the pool deck and the L-shaped pool that you can see. It's the aerial view. And the area, if you can see in the picture, if you can see in the picture, you can see like a bit of a triangle, a rectangular area right below the pool. As you can see, the rock and all that, it's basically because this has all been built onto the rock. And the pool itself, if you can, maybe it's a bit hard to notice, but it has been basically carved into the rock. That area you see right below the pool is where we would have a bonfire lit in the night and have groups gathered around after a day of activities to discuss their next day's act plans, and just to have a social gathering. This would be like the area that we would have in the evening for for like group socializing at Rukgala. So just want to share that with you all, and then get to the rooms at Rukgala Retreat. So as I mentioned in the start, there are actually 2 main buildings in Rukgala. The main building is called the Top House, and that is the one that's situated right on top of the pool. It is on top of the rock. It's a bit of a high elevation, and there are 4 rooms in that. So there is one Top House twin room, as you can see in the picture, and there are 2 Top House double rooms and a family room, which we will get to later. So all these rooms, as you can see, they come with very nice balconies, and they have great views over the Victoria Lake and the mountain range surrounding it. Very quite simplistic rooms. When you open the doors, you get a nice breeze, very light and relaxing place to spend your holiday in. Then apart from the top house rooms, we have another section a little lower, away from the main building, maybe about 30 meters from the main building. It's a stretch of rooms we call the garden cottages. And there are 4 of these garden cottages. There are 2 garden cottage double rooms and 2 garden cottage twin rooms. Clearly, the difference is just the beds. And these rooms, the difference is they do not have a view from over the tree line when you're on the lower floor. As you can see, they just have a nice view into the forest, but you can see the lake and things. It's still a very beautiful view because you can see the lake through the trees, and the greenery is very lush in the area. So it's altogether real nice. You have a small garden space as well to go outside. And one of the key things that you need to know about these rooms is, as you can see in the pictures, they all have a mezzanine flow. The mezzanine flow is accessible through the ladders that you can see. And basically on the top of the room, there is an extra single bed, so it can easily accommodate 3 people. Of course, it's not ideal for very elderly guests or extremely small children, maybe below the age of 10, who it may not be that who the parents may not be that comfortable with climbing a ladder to get to their bed. But of course, when you're on the mezzanine floor, again, you have a really nice view from over the tree lines. And that's something quite unique about the rooms in Rukgala retreat. And then finally, again, back to the top house. As I mentioned, the 4th room in the top house is the family room, which very simply comes with a king bed, with a queen bed, and 2 single beds for children, and with the space to add in a family of 5. And those are basically, so Rukgala, I guess there are 8 rooms in total. So that's about it for the accommodation at Rukgala. I think other things that I think I might want to inform you all is that none of our properties, not Ashburnham and Rukgala, they both don't have on-site drive accommodation, but we have drive accommodation 10 minutes away from the property, which our resort teams can help your drivers book that accommodation. Apart from that, if anyone has any questions that they would like to ask, please do ask us now. Really, yes.
I think Amri has asked a question before
Okay.
on how many yoga sessions are included on the rates, I mean, per day.
Okay. All right. Okay. So it's like this, Amri. The standard rates, the rates that we have, do not include the yoga classes, but I think you can get the rates from Sandhani. I'll send across the rate. It's a very small price for the group yoga classes, and there are 2 every day. There are 2 yoga classes, so guests can choose which one they want to join, or they can choose both. There is one in the morning and one in the evening. They can choose to join separately. If they want to do private ones, they can also pay for that separately. Apart from the standard rates, we also have the packages, all-inclusive packages at Rukgala. Those packages vary from 3 days to 6 days to 10 days. So these packages include all the meals and the daily, both the daily yoga classes as well as a hike, maybe to Babaragala, to the Babaragala, rock. We have an all-inclusive package like that also, which I can share with you all. Maybe I have already, but yes, I hope that answers the question.
Yeah,
Yes,
the yoga. Hello,
Yes.
Shalinka, the yoga session.
Yes.
Do you charge per session or based on the per person? How do you charge?
It is charged per person. per person per session.
Per person
If
per
you're
session.
if you're doing it individually, that means,
Okay.
what I mean
What?
is if you're doing it, if it's like if it's a package, of course it's all included. But if you're going to book individual sessions, you'll have to pay per person per session if you don't want to do it every day, you know.
Okay.
Hi, Shalinka. This is Luna from Vietnam.
Yes, Luna.
Just wanted to ask you, it's a bit of a funny question, but I have heard this from my clients before. During the longer hikes, the half-day hikes, if the clients need to use or have a bathroom break, what are the solutions that you guys have come up with? Because I'm sure you've had this already with some clients, no?
Yes, I think Aravinda can. Could you just speak about that?
So
Hi, Aravinda.
hi. So if they want to do longer hikes from Ashburnham, so roughly around 2 to 3 kilometers from Ashburnham, we actually cross where the entrance of Sembuatta Lake, which actually have really nice washroom facilities. So we do ask the guests if they want to go out for washrooms from that point. So that would be, in a walking sense, that would be around after 45 to 1 hour from Ashburnham. And after that, unfortunately, you don't have much because it's all jungle.
Yeah, but it's good that you guys tell them beforehand, here is your last stop, and then
Yes.
and then you
We
go
do
on it.
tell
Okay,
that.
that's great.
We actually tell it exactly. This is your last toilet.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Aravinda, these washrooms are at the Sembuatta Lake is the common washroom that the customers also will have to use it, or do they have a separate one? Because the common facilities it's horrible because I have a very bad experience over there.
So these are the newer ones that they go for, like, because they get tourists. Also, this is the ones that they build for tourists, which actually has a guy to caretake and everything. That's like 20 rupees that we have to pay, which again we pay. To my knowledge, again, they've been really good, and maybe I don't know. We are talking about the same one, but these are the ones that they use for tourists.
Okay.
All right. Do we have any more questions coming in? Okay. You can type it in if you'd like. All right. So if you have any further questions, you can reach your market manager and they will clarify along with the product details and the excursion details that are available. So do reach out to them. I think we can wrap up our 12th webinar now. Thank you, Shalinka, Amila, and Aravinda for joining in and taking your time off and putting this lovely presentation and this lovely experiences together. It really looks amazing. And once travel is allowed, I hope we'll be able to visit. And thank you all our participants for joining in. So until we see you again next time, stay safe. Thank you.
Yes. Sandhuni, thank you very much. I just want to say on behalf of my team and Amila and Aravinda, thank you, Deeplam Travels, for giving this lovely this opportunity to introduce our properties and also speak about our experiences. We do hope that things get back to the way it used to be very soon, and we'll have the pleasure of serving your guests and providing them these great experiences once things get back to normal. Thank you very much, Sandhini, again for having us on this. All right.
Thank you. All right.